Okay, this video shows women of color, and not just women of color, but it's going to show different females and different families that are blended families. And the reason I did this video, I felt moved to do this video, is because I saw a video that this young black woman, she posted a video like 2 years ago saying it was entitled, "This is the reason why black males won't wife up black females." And she was black herself, and she went in to quickly say that she had found her someone and he happened to be black, and that before she met him, she made sure that he was someone who, was able to talk for himself, or he had good verbiage, and that he was able to speak for himself, and that she was also educated and he's educated, which nothing's wrong with that part. The part that I found disturbing was, I'm noticing, it looked as though it was just black males bashing black females, but I have to digress on a little of that, and I see a lot of black females who are bashing other black females and throwing them under the bus. And they themselves are black. It's horrible. It's like an epidemic in massive proportion, and it has to be stopped because it's just real ignorance. And first of all, her video was void, null and void, because she says black females who don't get wifed up by black males. And I'm looking at her, and she just went in and said she has a husband and he's black. I've said, well, right now your video is null and void because you're black, you're a female, and your husband, he's black and he's a male, so he wifed you up. So obviously your video there's no merit to it because it's not true, because that's not everybody's situation. That's not the case for everyone. And then she goes in to talk about the masculinity and the femininity of the black male and the masculinity of the black female. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute, this is wrong. So you're talking about yourself, right? Because if he found you and you found him, and whatever your story is going to entail, you're not masculine, are you? And he's not feminine, is he? And everybody's situation is different. And when people talk on some of these videos, when they say these horrible things about one another, and there's no facts, there's nothing really to back it up, is because it's their own personal experience, or they're just feeding into the stereotypes. And so, and now however, there has been a lot of separating, but I'm going to shed some light as to why there's been some separating. All of it hasn't just been negativity. There has been negativity. Some of it has been because of some of the stuff that people are putting out there, the stereotypes, the racism, and the hate, and the self-hate. But then there's a new generation of people. What we were doing in the 70s, we're no longer doing. What we were doing in the 80s and 90s, we're no longer doing. And what we did in the earlier part of 2000s, we're no longer doing. There is a new generation of females and males and families. And women are going to work, they're getting educated, they're going back to school. There's single mommies, there's blended families, there's different families of different backgrounds and cultures, there's alternative families. And yes, even though people don't agree and don't want to agree to disagree, but there are families that people tend to leave out because of their own personal religious views, or their views of whether they even view them as being a family or a couple. But they are, in this lifetime, in the way the new world works, they are considered families now. We have gay blended families and gay families. They would be in the what you would call blended families. And so you have women here. You have this woman, she has a pantsuit on. I'm gonna assume, or we can assume, she's educated, and she probably is degreed. She's probably well off in her career, and maybe she doesn't have kids and a husband or a mate. But maybe down the road she will consider that. Maybe she's working on her so that she can one day settle down with the right individual. She doesn't necessarily rush into a relationship. She's not into a traditional coupling where someone finds the mate for you, or you grow up and then you get courted and then you get married off and you stay home with the kids. A lot of things have changed now. And there's the stereotype about black females being domineering. Trust me, I have seen plenty of females who aren't black who are just as domineering, maybe even more so. And there's famous people in the news, in the media, that are popular today. We could just throw out some names of women who aren't, they might be women of color, but they are not necessarily black, but they have strong opinions and strong views, and they're not afraid to flaunt it. And you can see them, they're on the news pointing their finger out at people, and so they're not even black, and they have no problem showing their attitude and everything else that is to go with it. So that should throw that myth out of the window, that it's just black women, because it isn't. It's I think it has to do more with the individual, not the race of the person. And so you have also women who choose to wear their hair in different styles, and so we have a group of black women who are online bashing each other's hair. And so a lot of this, they say it comes from the males. It's not just from males. Sometimes they'll sit back and look at the craziness and the mayhem and the chaos take place, and you have other black females bashing other black females for the way they wear their hair, or for their skin color, for the way they talk or the way they look. So you have other women online talking about how black women can't find a man and all this kind of stuff, or how she's the natural hair Nazi, and they don't like it that you're wearing your hair natural, or they don't like it that you're wearing your hair straight. They're saying, oh, you want to look like white people, you're wearing your hair straight. Well, last I checked, black women are extremely versatile when it comes to hair and nowadays, and everybody doesn't always want to necessarily look like the next person that's sitting beside them. So there's different styles. People are versatile, and it depends on what you like and what you dislike, or whatever that suits you and your needs. And so all this stuff about black women, they can't find a mate, wrong. Like I said, guys, there are interracial relationships, and this is the real world. We're about to come into the real world, and this is what is happening. That is the reason why, just because you don't see Sue or Cindy with, who you would think she'd be with, maybe he's not interested in her. Maybe he's interested in a black woman. And so you see Simone Biles, you're going to see Gabby Douglas too, and you're going to see some other clips of interracial coupling and people, black females who are with white males, or in blended relationships and families, and that is probably why you don't see them with a black male. It's not that they're not with the black male because they hate each other and all this divisiveness that goes on with some folks. That's not the whole world. In the real world, you have interracial coupling going on. People are with different people, and he could be Spanish, he could be Mexican, he could be white, he could be Guatemalan, he could be from some other country in Europe, and she could be white. She could be white and Hispanic. Maybe he decided he met someone and he really fell in love with her, and she just happens not to be black. Okay? So it's not that he hates black females. Now, that's not everybody's situation. Everybody's not out there trying to prove points, that are divisive and negative. However, we do have some people who do stuff like that because they're insecure, and chances are those relationships are not going to last, guys, if that's what they're in it for, if they're not really serious to begin with. And here you have Michelle Obama, and Gabby Douglas. They were always called all these negative names. Oh, they're all these horrible names in social media and in the news. But these are lovely women of color. And, they always coin black women to say, oh, they're masculine looking. Hey, guys, real world, women are athletic too. They might be basketball, gymnasts in sports. They might be swimmers. They might just really be athletic. You've seen females who run in track and field, and they participate in gymnastic events. Here's Gabby Douglas with her family, her sister with the flower dress, and her mother in the middle. They're beautiful women of color. They're not masculine. They look very feminine, very attractive. And look, Gabby is in a dress. You're going to see her in a dress. You're going to see her in a t-shirt. You're going to see her in jeans. You're going to see her when she's dressed up in her team uniform. She's athletic, and she can be beautiful, and she can be, trendy, and then she can change her style up, and she can be athletic, all in one full swoop. She has versatility. And let me add that just like other women, black women can be very versatile, can be very athletic, very strong. And some of that has to do with culture. You could come from a family where it's instead of more patrial, it could be matrial, where you come from a long line of strong black females. And that's not in a negative light. It's more in a strong persona because of all of the history that has happened to blacks people, of color. You had to be strong, and that is the whole culture. If you want to look at it, that's everyone. So that young lady that was black that was posting that video saying that, oh, you have to be female and you have to act like a female. And yeah, they are female. You're female too. Or you're acting like a female, right? Or are you pretending to be a female? That's what it was sounding like. She was saying we have to try to act more female. Like we're not female. We are female. Just if you are growing up in a tough neighborhood and the guys are growing up in a tough neighborhood, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to be kind of tough because you don't want to get pushed over. So, but that doesn't mean you're not going to be feminine either, if you're a female. Now, everybody's personalities are different. Everybody is different. Every individual is different. You see Gabby Douglas, you see Simone Biles. They're muscular, they're athletic, and they're beautiful at the same time. And yeah, they may not want to be in a relationship with someone black. They might be with someone white, someone Mexican, someone Chinese, someone from another country. But she's still a woman. She's still a beautiful, attractive young lady. Despite what some of these other people out here are putting out, it is nothing but a bag of lies, and it's not true. So you have women who are going back to school. They're progressive. This is the real world you're about to see, guys. Whether you agree with it or not, whether you agree with, alternative relationships, blended families, you've got some people who they don't believe in a number of things. They don't like to see people in interracial coupling. They don't like to see people who are gay in gay couples. They don't like to see blended families. They think everybody should stick with their own race. They think everybody should, be heterosexual. They think everybody should, stay in their own role. Females should stay in the kitchen and have babies, and men should go out and do all the work, and the female doesn't do any work at all whatsoever to help her family at all. She shouldn't be progressive, and that's not the real world we live in. Women are going to school. They're in the armed forces. They're choosing, whether they want to help their husbands with their families. And there's women who are independent. Come on, everybody's not married. Everybody's not going to be homeless and just choose, okay, if he doesn't come, then I'll just choose to be homeless. she's still got to go to school, she's still got to work, and she's still got to feed herself and take care of herself. So she has to be independent. There is a level of independence there. That doesn't necessarily mean because she's independent she's masculine. Because she's not married, she's masculine. Because if that's the case, then the young lady who did the video, she must be masculine too. Because at one time she wasn't married, and at one time she had to support herself before the husband came along. And I feel sorry for any man that if he has to just be the only one doing all the work while she... Now, if you choose to do that, there was a time where it was symbolism or of that you're middle class or upper middle class when the man could go out and work and the woman could just stay home and didn't have to work. But we do have a new generation, a new world where, I don't know if you've seen this show, it's called House Husbands, where he's educated and he's not necessarily what you would call lazy. Like, he's not on drugs or on crack or anything like that. But he's choosing to stay home and be raising the kids, and the mother is out working, and they're still a couple and they're married. There are relationships like that, and I've seen it personally. I've seen that, and it works for some people. And then I've seen interracial couples who, now this is not interracial couples like the divisiveness that I've heard. There's guys that are out there doing it too. Oh, I'd rather be with a white female, all that kind of stuff. Let's get rid of that, okay? We're talking about people who really, they just happen to be from different backgrounds, but they really, really enjoy each other's company, and they really love each other. They really like to be together. These are people who really want to be in relationships, and they just happen to be from different backgrounds. It's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. That's my opinion. Now, there are really bad people out there who think, oh, she should be with a black man, or he should be with a white or Hispanic woman, or, there's a lot of crazy people out there who they are living in the 1950s. So let's just imagine here, this is a blended family. You got people of all different backgrounds, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, and let's say they married into this wonderful family, and they care about each other. They're a beautiful family. Just because they're not from the same background race-wise doesn't mean that they can't be a family. And you have single mommies that aren't black. Let's throw that stereotype out the window. There are women who are not black who have kids, and they're a single parent. That doesn't mean she's not gonna ever meet anybody. That just means she happens to be with kids and she's by herself. And it's the same for a black woman and black males. Let's say she adopted or he adopted kids. Maybe there are people who have like fertility issues. See, these things don't even come up in these videos that these hateful people are putting out there. You don't know these people's life, what they're going through, what they went through. Maybe they couldn't have a baby naturally. They adopted kids, So look at this man. He's a white guy and he has beautiful children. He's a happy father. Maybe one day he'll meet someone. He's a single dad. There's just nothing wrong with that. Maybe you have a single mom who's black and she has a child. Now, how do we know what happened to that little girl's father? Let's say he didn't get locked up. He wasn't on drugs or anything. What if there was a terrible accident and he died? Or maybe there wasn't a terrible accident. Let's say she adopted that child. And here we've got two dads with kids and two little girls. They love their daddies. They're gay couples that have children, guys. This is how a reflection of our real world and what is going on. It's not this stuff that you're hearing in these videos about, oh, they won't wife him up and wife her up and all this craziness, and then he can't get a wife because they're all, maybe he didn't want a wife. He wanted a husband. Maybe she didn't want a husband. She wanted a wife. So this is what is going on in our real world. And now Let's move away from, well, I don't agree with that. I don't see them as a family. Okay, that's your opinion. But in the world we live in today, this is the couples that exist. And this is what's happening. Whether you agree or you disagree. Okay? She's maybe not with a male, but she's with someone still. Two white mommies, and they've got kids, and they're in a relationship. This is the real world, guys. Okay? Now, and you have two black mommies, and they have kids. So just because we don't see something happening doesn't mean it isn't happening in another way. It could be happening. Maybe just not the way you've been used to seeing it happen. Maybe you don't get out enough of your neighborhood, or maybe you don't really see what's happening in the real world because you can't see past any of this. You only see what you see that you think should or should not be happening. But that's not the real world. The real world is what you're seeing here. These families exist, and yes, you still have traditional families too.